Welcome to Common Man Cocktails. Today what I want to do is I want to try to make you enjoy cocktails for the first time. I'm going to assume you've never made a cocktail before, but you're interested. And if you have, follow along anyway. You might learn something and or reinforce your current learning. So when I first got into cocktails, the thing that got me to start the show and do all this was tasting a tequila for the first time that wasn't Jose Cuervo. And then I was like, holy crap, eyes opened, I got it, I understood what was going on. This, I want to show you how to make a daiquiri because I feel like if you could be introduced to a very basic cocktail, find out there's no intimidation needed, but you still learn stuff, then you can start to adapt it and create new things out of it. Because this is a simple recipe. It's a 2-1-1 recipe. You'll hear that thrown around in the bartending. I'm just a at-home bartender, but in the real world, 2-1 is like your golden ratio. It's 2 ounces of the spirit, 1 ounce of sugar, 1 ounce of syrup. It balances really well. Sugar, sour. It balances really well. So for the daiquiri, we're going to do 2 ounces of rum, and I'm going to use Mount Gay Eclipse. You can use your favorite. You can use a Bacardi. The reason I like Eclipse over Bacardi is sometimes not because I don't like Bacardi at all, but the flavor profile, there's a little inherent sweetness and vanilla flavor out of the Mountain Gay Barbados rum versus a Puerto Rican rum, which tend to be a little bit more muted and less flavor. I'm going to use for my sugar, I'm just using Liber & Co. gum syrup. You can use simple syrup right out of your stove if you feel like it. And then limes. There's really no substitute for limes. You're going to need limes. And what makes this recipe special is it's easy to memorize 2-1-1. You can make it at the pool. I'm going to use a chilled coupe glass. You can chill your glass if you're not going to put ice in it. This daiquiri doesn't have ice because it's so small. If you want to quadruple the recipe, 2-1-1 take 2 times 4, 1 times 4, and you have the new ratio for a large, or same ratio, larger quantity. Great for making poolside drinks and like a large, I don't have any down here, but a large jar. So simple, easy to work with. Let's do it. Build it at the bottom of the shaker. I'm gonna measure with my jigger. Got an orange squeeze, lemon squeeze for my limes. You can get lime squeezes, the green ones. I sell them at awesomedrinks.com. I think I should, if you want them. I don't typically sell them, but made a mistake order at one point trying to buy lemons. So there you go. You got an ounce of lime. Ounce of lime in your shaker tin. Then we're going to do our sugar. And why are we going to do the sugar before we do the rum? Because if I screw this ratio up somehow, or if I like overpour, underpour, well, underpouring is pretty easy to fix. Overpour, I can either try and double it and repair it, or I could toss the whole thing out, and all I lost was a 49-cent lime and some simple syrup versus 2 ounces of, rum, which is typically more expensive. Sugar. Great for the poolside. You can tweak the recipe depending on your audience. For my audience, I don't really do 2-1-1. I either do 2 3/4 3/4 or 2 3/4 1, where 1 is a sour, 3/4 is a sugar. As you drink more spirits and you get into cocktails, you tend to favor more bitter or savory or strong cocktails and less sweet. So you can kind of play with the ratio as you go. 2 ounces of rum. And I can make those adjustments on the fly. If I'm making these one by one for people, I will tend to, if it's somebody I don't know, and I ask them what their favorite cocktail is and they don't really have a good answer, then I know it's going to be sweeter. Unless they're from Europe, a lot of countries in Europe, Italy, I know they tend to like more bitter drinks, so there's solutions for that too. There you go, that's your 2-1-1. We're gonna add ice, we're gonna shake it. But what I wanted to also mention, and I have a coupon code, cocktail, for awesomedrinks.com if you want to save $5.99 on a bottle of Scrappy's bitters. So here's the deal. I'm trying to get rid of my Scrappy's bitters. I'm trying to get rid of bitters in general. For most people who watch our show, see view counts go down. When view counts go down, sales go down. So I'm just trying to reduce overall inventory at awesomedrinks.com. And that means I'm just trying to get rid of product that just isn't selling fast enough or costs me a lot to hold. So if you want to get some Scrappy's bitters, $5.99 off, which brings them down to $10 a piece. $10 for a bottle of $24 MSRP Scrappy bitters is pretty good. That's, I think, better than half off. They're already on sale, so they're at $15.99 now, $5.99 extra off with the coupon. Help me get rid of what I have left of my Scrappies. I've got celery, I've got grapefruit, I've got orange. This is celery, lime, grapefruit here. And I'm going to explain why you can use those with this drink in a second after I shake it. We're going to shake this You could do as long or short as you want, but I typically think or recommend 12 to 15 seconds. But the honest answer is, light tap, the honest answer is with a Boston shaker, you can tell when it gets cold enough that you're like, that's the temperature. You'll get over time the right temperature just based on feel. Here we go. Like, I can't hold it anymore. The other way is to understand the ice you're using. That's gonna change how fast it gets cold. This is kind of crushed up ice a little bit, so if you're using bigger blocks, 15, 20 seconds, probably good. If you're using crushed ice, 5 seconds is usually good. Dump out the ice in here. There, we got a chilled coupe glass. I need a strainer. Strainer. Also, awesomedrinks.com if you're looking for Boston shakers or Boston shaker kits or bartender starter kits. Now, this shake, I can already see small ice crystals in here. If you have a friend who thinks he's like big, high class, pick you up with cocktails, you can double strain this to get out the little pieces of ice. If you have any other normal humans, they're not gonna care. I like to chew on them. But this will only hold back so much of those small pieces of ice. Let's taste this just as is, especially since it's about to fall on the floor because it's almost bubbling over. This version really picks up the Eclipse. It's like a warm vanilla flavor. I almost get like a cherry out of it. I don't really know why, but it is definitely on a sweeter side in that case. But you get just the right amount of lime, so you know it's a sour. A great flavor of lime that kind of drags through, leaves a little bit of acidity, makes you want to take a separate sip. Also, things I have learned over time: do not, at least if you're playing with a larger group of audience, do not mess with the Jamaican rum in a daiquiri, especially dark Jamaican, especially Smith and Cross. Every time I've made a daiquiri with Smith and Cross, everybody's like, why does this taste so funny? It's because Jamaican rum has a funky taste to it. It's got lots of flavor, lots of ester. Like, it just has there's a lot going on. It's very bold. So it tends to get almost overpowering on the flavors of the drink, and you lose some of the essence of the daiquiri, which is why Bacardis or other light rums, Don Q, you can go with, we call these aged rums, but it's just, they're about the same age as a Bacardi. A Bacardi, I think, is 3 to 4 years. This is probably 4 to 5. It's just, it keeps its color because they didn't filter it. So there's different sweetnesses with different islands. Just remember that. I have videos on the different islands and some of the different flavor profiles you get from their rums. Now, I'm going to show you a secret trick. If you want to blow people's minds, this is a better idea than going with the Jamaican rum, which has a lot of overpowering flavors. I'm going to pick celery, add 2 dashes of celery bitters. And 2 dashes is 2 dashes from the bitter dasher. Now, you could stir it. I'll stir it. Typically, for a lot of these bitters, you just incorporate into the drink, but that would have ruined my first tasting experience to show you, so we didn't do that. The other way is you could just dash them on the top. It gives the aroma. Not so much with celery, but with Angostura bitters and ones that have like a little bit more of that allspice flavor and stuff like that. The aroma comes off and people are like, ooh, this smells really delicious. I don't smell celery. But you get it, just a little bit. You get a nice, sweet, vanilla, oaky rum, lime, and then the celery kind of layers right on top and follows it through to the 4th quarter. But it's not overbearing. 2 dashes is enough just to give you a little bit of that like different vegetal flavor, earthy tone to it, making it an entirely different cocktail. This does not taste like this daiquiri I tasted a few seconds ago. But and it's not that it tastes better or worse, it just tastes different. And that's important because the whole goal, what I'm trying to tell you is, if you want to get into cocktails, experimentation is big. Experimenting with things, trying things out, failing, succeeding, sharing with friends. This is drinking is really a social experience. So you get some bitters. You can also try varying your sugars. Go with the turbinado sugar or demerara sugar. They sell them. You can just make them with brown sugar or turbinado sugar if you want to. You could try brown sugar. That might be completely Might taste like cake, I don't know. But you can have different types of tasting experience with subtle changes in a daiquiri. Because it's such a basic 2-on-1 ratio, you can add a little nudge. For instance, Luxardo Maraschino liqueur. A 1/4 ounce of this added to that, maybe a little bit of grapefruit juice. That's called a Hemingway daiquiri. Hemingway came up with that recipe. Kind of an alcoholic, so it's a little bit on the boozy side. But that changes the recipe with only subtle nudges. So there you go. Think about daiquiris and how you can change the game a little bit. And if you're like, I don't really like a daiquiri, instead of rum, same recipe, use tequila. You've got yourself a very basic margarita. You're like, but you need to have orange liqueur in a margarita. Use orange bitters. Or do both. Cocktail. AwesomeDrinks.com. That's the coupon code to save $5.99 on Scrappy's bitters. Help me get rid of them so I can reduce my inventory and recover some of my costs. That would be fantastic. That's it. Sidebar, more videos. We're teaching you how to drink.